Hi, and welcome everyone to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. Today we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Hello, everyone. It's so good to be here today with you. And just a little side note, we're going to be starting at 10 after the hour. Kind of gives the other shows a chance to end things and just makes life a little bit easier. So just as a side note, but thank you so much for joining us at Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. And as you just heard, we're broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network. Much thanks to them always. And you can find them on FM radio at 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Don't forget to join us in the chats. We love hearing from you guys. Comments, questions, fire away. So today, I'm so excited. Very much looking forward to this. I have Michelle Desrochers back with us again for part 2 of Angels, Demons, and the Ancient World Struggle Between Light and Darkness. So in our last conversation, we explored how angels and demons shaped the ancient world's understanding of light and dark. We looked at the forces that guided civilization, influenced morality, and defined human spiritual imagination. Not too heavy, right? Well, today we're going to go even deeper. In this second chapter, we're expanding the lens to examine ancient rites of exorcism, spiritual warfare across cultures, and how humanity has confronted dark and intrusive forces since the beginning of recorded history. These were not myths and not here to entertain, but they were practices meant to restore balance, reclaim the soul, and protect the human spirit. Kind of like what we do today. Very similar. Joining us again is Michelle Desrochers, whose insight helps bridge ancient wisdom and modern understanding. And together, we're going to try to explore this struggle between light and darkness that has never really disappeared and what it reveals about consciousness, power, and the human soul. Michelle, my dear love.
How are you?
So good to have you. I always get so souped up when you're on.
Woohoo! Thank you. I love being here. I have a lot of fun with
you.
Yeah. Our guest from last night actually saw one of our segments that we did, on the death of the ego and so on, and he loved it. This is great. So thank you, Tim.
I love that.
Jim Malone. Yes.
That was a good show. They're all good, but that one was really good.
Beyond the Veil. Yeah, I love his story as this little cute little dark Shih Tzu boo-boo. And it goes to show you, right? Like it's just such a significant, like your love for your little fur baby and how it takes you on this entire journey of self-exploration and afterlife. And I mean, the full gambit to now being one of these people on the world stage, putting out his story and saying, look, this is incredible. This works. I loved it. I really did. I loved it. It was a great conversation.
They really are. They really are. And they can just go on and on and on. Like there's so many subtopics to them too that I absolutely love to do.
There are. Yeah.
Well, let's say hello to some people. Hello, Hillbilly Herb, that everybody loves your freaking name. It's so
I know.
I laugh every time I read it. And Wayne, we're going to have Wayne back on the show again. I'm so super excited about that. Now, I just got the date down. You think I'd remember it? Oh, March 18th. So that'll be something to really look forward to. Super happy about that. Carrie, always a joy to see you. And so many other people popping in. Heidi, my our sisters.
Annette.
Yes.
Father Sean's Paranormal Ministry tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Spook Appalachia. My guests next Thursday. Oh no, next Wednesday night, the 11th. Ah,
Oh, that's exciting. What a
I
great name
know.
too.
I know. It's gonna be
Love
great.
it.
I love
Love
it.
it, love it, love
Mhm.
it.
Yep.
But as people pop in, of course, we will try to say hello to them. So, Michelle, where do you want to dig
Yes.
in? I mean, there's so much. Where do you want to begin, dear one?
Well, I mean, picking up where we left off last time, there was so much information. I think we need to remember that, spiritual warfare, the struggles between light and darkness is something that has been going on since, like, as they say, it's a tale as old as time, and it really is. You can go back to biblical times with that,
Yeah,
with Nimrod, the whole Tower of Babel. I mean, you could really, really go back. And we did go back to a certain degree. But we also have to remember when it comes down to things that we are soul energy. So this tug of war between good and evil throughout the ages, all along, we've been this very important commodity, and it
yeah.
has been about energy. Right? We have been
Gosh, so
conditioned
good.
into certain belief systems. I mean, there are many people who have many backgrounds of faith, and some have it better than others, and then there are some that are just completely ridiculous, and you can end up in crazy cults and all kinds of stuff. Like
Oh,
there's
yeah,
stuff out there that is and maybe shouldn't be, or it's one of those things where it's something for everyone, but sometimes it can get you into a lot of trouble. So really be careful and really do your homework. But it doesn't mean that we have to be concerned about everything. Should we fear? I don't know. Fear, we have to look at misunderstanding,
yeah,
misinterpretations. We have to get into things that go back into the ancient cultures, because at one time they're believed to have been many gods, and throughout different ancient civilizations, ancient Egypt, we had the Norse, the Norse
yeah,
culture. You had the different gods, the Greeks. I mean, it was all out there. And some of these things have been relabeled, under demons. And that again, that's a whole other show as to the rewording or relabeling, depending on, again, depending on the faith. But the point is, at the end of the day, we have to look at the fact that spirit realm, people have always been very leery of the spirit realm. Others, like oracles, have been very open to it. You look
yeah.
at things like going through the solstices through ancient times. They also knew that during those times, especially the winter solstice, that you would be getting into very dark, long nights, and opened yourself up to different otherworldly entities who would come in through the spirit realm. And some of these entities could become very possessive of the living and affect, the lives of the living in a very, very real way.
Yeah.
So this is something that has been going on for ages and ages and ages. And
Mm,
I know you had wanted to talk a little bit about Gnosticism, the Gnostics.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back in a little bit and look at what who are, the Gnostics, right?
Mhm.
Well, who are the Gnostics? They were a group of people, who were very concerned with basic questions of existence around the first century, AD. Different sects of early Christians and early Jews. Gnosticism was probably the earliest version of Christianity, not Catholicism, Christianity. They put a large emphasis on the changing of the psychological state in order
Mhm.
to secure this connection to the cosmos. I love that they were connected to the cosmos, because when you looked at even at the Vatican at the time, like, the interest in the stars, I mean, man, poor Galileo. he went, he really got chastised for that. And now, and they went on to use, some of his his findings and his research.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the sign of the times back then. But here we had the Gnostics, who were very, very connected and had a big awareness of the cosmos. And throughout different religious texts, it was suggested that they used methods to communicate with the universe,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And they also state that they were archons, and these archons were a race of incredibly powerful. Now, they had referred to them as aliens, and as you get into deeper areas of the text, you realize you're getting into things not so much aliens, and we'll come to that,
Yeah.
as we go along. But what was the belief system, to the Gnostics? Like, what was salvation per se? They'll say it was never really about any sort of moral obedience or any sort of membership, or in different faiths, having to go to church, for example, every day. Because after, the Gnostics came, the Essenes and the Cathars, and the Cathars, I mean, they butted heads with the church, and there were, I think it was 20,000 of them that were killed in Carcassonne, just slaughtered because they didn't believe that they should have to go
Mm.
to give money to an institution to be able to pray.
Like
There
the
was a whole.
Protestant Reformation, kind of similar to that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot to that, right down to the god Molech, and sacrifices, things like that, going back into, again, the Cathars. But then, when you look at the fact of with Moloch, who's like the god of, like, child sacrifice. This is who they would sacrifice children to. I mean, there's a
Yeah,
statue of him at the Vatican.
they're still doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they had a different belief system in place, and they were taught that humanity was trapped inside this fabricated cosmic order, kind of, I don't know, matrix sort of thing, a counterfeit creation ruled, by demiurges, right? So salvation wasn't granted; it was something that was remembered. Right? To be saved in a Gnostic sense. Okay, and I have to stress, in a Gnostic sense, as to
Mm.
the beliefs, you had to see through the illusion to
Yeah.
outgrow the rulers of the specific place and remember your origin that came from beyond the stars. So, was it an escape so much as it was like an escape after death, or is it being liberated before death?
That's such a good question. I have a question for you. So the Gnostics had like innately this drive for like enlightenment. They wanted to discover the true battle between like light and dark, right? So
Mm.
how I mean think about in current times when we want to grow spiritually, we reach out to books, we reach out to other people, we have conversations. Think about how hard it had to be for them. It almost seemed innate to them.
Mm.
What do you think that like how did they know? They just it was like they remembered things that we are struggling to remember and striving to remember, but they knew innately.
Well, I mean, did you have conditioning back then?
Absolutely right.
Did we have, like, you have to understand, we live in a world right now where technology, we are energy. We are affected by technology. We are affected by microwaves, right? And that was
Everything.
introduced when, like, 1900s, early 1900s. We're affected by these towers, like that has a certain frequency that it puts out. We are affected by power lines, just electrical power lines. I mean, we are affected by these things. And when you factor in some of the things that you eat, some of the things that you drink,
All of it.
some of the things that you breathe, there are things that sort of give you this amnesia, So, I mean, it's
Fluoride
always.
in our water. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right, and it calcifies a pineal gland, so that's something right there. But when you start getting into, the fact that we always laugh about life's, cruelest jokes, our creator just fires us off and says, all right, free will, here you go. You have to come back, do it again, maybe just, get it right this time. But I don't remember what I got wrong. So how am I supposed to know I got to fix?
Exactly.
Right. So
That's such a great point.
it's true, right? We come in here, it's like, okay, remember who you are. All right.
Exactly.
Not for lack of trying. But I've used that term as well because I've been very fortunate to have, past lives and lineage and stuff come forward for me. So I was able to start connecting the dots. I've also
Right.
worked with some of the best mediums in my opinion, in the world if I'm working with them, it's because, they're like amazing. Like, totally
Mm,
they are, and I've spent 2 decades working with various mediums and different film
wow.
projects and such, so a lot of information has been, you know,
Sure.
almost like baby steps, but putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and there's some people who go back and do past life regressions for things like this because
Yeah, I
they
did
want
that.
to know,
Yeah.
right? Did you find it help for you?
Oh
Like,
my god, yeah. Big
see
time.
see?
Big time.
It's a little nudge in the right direction to put you on the right path, and then sometimes things just keep coming in, and don't be afraid to do the work. Meditation really is the key, you know,
It is.
and if you don't mind doing the work, things will come for you, information will come. But I think, we had many ancient cultures all over the world had communication with beings from the stars or beings that were already here.
Absolutely. Had to be.
Right. Yes, from
Had to be.
underground and so on. Look at the Hopi along with the ant people. Peru have the same idea. They have like even reptilians. Peru's got stories of being assisted by reptilians during a time of cataclysm where they were brought underground, like the Hopi and like the ant people, and they were cared for. They were educated until it was safe to come back. Many generations later, perhaps. The point is that these beings came from somewhere, and some of them did come from the stars, and the ancient people did emulate what they respected, what they feared, what
Mm,
they saw, and we see this all over through petroglyphs and hieroglyphs and cave art, and we see it. So, did this pique the interest in the Gnostics going, "Well, we know there's something there. We see things in the skies. Maybe things landed." I mean, you start getting into a lot of the teachings, it's all out there. I mean, you can find it all, in the Gnostic texts, and you see where it all stems from. But it all goes back really, to the goddess Sophia as well, who
mm.
in her infinite wisdom thought she would, not the creator, but thought she would make a creation. And this creation basically went on to say,
Yeah.
I am God. It's really that simple. So, archons through the forbidden layers of Gnostic knowledge, they were never benign or neutral. They were described as parasitic intelligence, beings that do not originate from source. They have not come from source. And the ancient Gnostics taught that archons cannot create, they have no divine spark. But
Mm.
the one archon she created went on and created his own. So all of these beings, there were said to be between, I think, 7 and 9. So if we explore the 7 archons, okay, they came from 7 different nations embodying specific ideals. So you would have Vente, or again, they had different names, Barbatos or Anemo, which is like the wind, Archon embodying freedom. Then you had another one, I know I'm not going to say this properly, Zongli or Morax, which was earth, embodying contracts. So then we have Raiden, which Beelzebub, not quite bub, but lightning. So he
Yeah. Too
embodied
close for
eternity,
comfort. Yeah.
right? Nahida, so Dendro, nature, embodied wisdom, much like the goddess Sophia. Or Furina, water, embodying justice. Murata, embodying war. And then we had um, Saritsa, embodying love, which is interesting considering, you know, that they weren't really um, designed for love. They just didn't have that divine spark.
Mm.
So when you factor this in, and we think, well, how if they were never a part of here, how did they sort of get into our belief system. How,
Mm.
are they demons? What if they are, what if all of these demons in the Gnostic tradition states that they were archons? They mimic, demons mimic.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
They mimic gods, angels,
Yeah,
ancestors, guides, star beings, even the voice that people mistake for their higher self.
yeah.
Because imitation is the way and the only way that they can apparently exist. So the Gnostics warned of the most dangerous type of prison was never physical, it was a spiritual illusion. So essentially up here, and they approach you in a way to make it look like, no, no, you were chosen. This is a destiny. And then your dreams start to feel like they've been implanted, synchronicities that
Yeah.
pull you off your path.
Oh gosh, that sounds so spot on. I get a little confused about how they believed that the physical universe was not created by the highest true God, but by this lesser God that you talked about before called the
Mhm,
demiurge, right?
mhm,
And this being was known to be ignorant and arrogant, unaware of true divine realm, everything you were just talking about.
mhm,
Um, he was assisted by these lesser gods called the archons that you just said.
mhm.
So I struggle, like, there's a lot about them that I do connect to, except that is like a big, but then, like you mentioned, they're tricksters and everything is inversion of the truth and of the light with them.
A
So,
100, yeah, 100%. I mean, their main job here is that they feed off of our energy. They prevent human souls from reaching the divine realm. So, I mean, for those who get trapped, like if you don't realize that you are in a prison that's made of illusion, and you
yeah. Oh,
realize the door is actually never locked, that you just have to remember where you come from. Right? So if you don't, then you keep coming into this perpetual, like the circle, like a dog chasing its tail. It just never goes away. But again, there's so much more to it. It's hard to take Gnosticism and all of this and then come and put it all into one segment. I'm just trying to condense it
yes, of course.
essentially to put it in place and say, "Look, you know what? In the end, we have free will. We are trapped." So when people say, "Oh, be careful when you go to the light," well, for those who may be, you know, again, as per the Gnostic beliefs, if you are trapped within this matrix type of place, then you are, I guess, going to just keep coming back because 'cause you're just gonna keep getting recycled back.
Yeah, yeah.
Your
What a
food.
cruel joke.
Yes, yes. So, I mean, it is one of those things that you have to be, I say I love, delving into different belief systems and religions, and, um, I find that this is one. It is, I find it interesting because I love how they are very connected to the cosmos and very aware, and most ancient people were. They could follow along in the solstices, like, they didn't
Amazing.
have a typical calendar, you know?
Well, Stonehenge is such a great example
Mhm.
of that.
Yeah.
Wayne made such a great point before. I grew up with this. He said, I remember watching cartoons when I was little, and there was a devil on one shoulder, the angel on the other. It's really just like that in the real world. You make a choice. That is so
It's true.
true.
Hidden in
Um,
plain sight.
yeah, so very true.
How much
Um,
stuff gets put out on television, and we just think, "Oh, it's a cute cartoon or it's a cute story."
right.
But when you delve into it, you become an adult and you're just like, "Okay, hey, wait," because there is a thing that is exactly that. I think we talked about it on the last show, the whole theory with the angel and the devil on the shoulders.
Exactly. And it often seems that way.
Mhm.
Um, how do you think though that folks like the Gnostics, they were able to understand these spiritual forces. In this is what perplexes me, like innately. Whereas, so you're saying that they didn't have all this stuff to cloud their memory of their divine selves, right? So the path for us is to clear ourselves of all this, but it's how do we do that in a world where air, food, everything's polluted, Wi-Fi's everywhere? Do you think meditation is key in that?
Do you ever ask yourself why we live in this kind of a world?
That's
Because
awful. It's just
there's technology for sure, but
yeah.
when you think about the extent of
Yeah.
technology, we live in a world of distractions. And now you're having, with AI, it's even a lot easier to be distracted because now you have these
Oh,
incredible visuals. So you could be looking to do something and you scroll out and end up like, "Oh, this is cool." I think this has been a part of it, when you're going back into ancient times, um, and not that they didn't have their hardships, my god, they did, and you see it throughout history.
mm,
Wars, I mean, all in the name, like the holy wars were just so over the top, but I think when you're sitting there left to reflect, nighttime comes, you've worked the day, you sit, you reflect, there's solitude, there's calmness on an average, as long as you weren't at war. Well, in a lot of these small communities,
right.
you know, they were farmers,
Yeah.
you tended just to your survival. And again, it goes back, I go back to the solstices, communities working together and
Mm,
celebrating together and warring together, whatever the case may be. We weren't affected the same way as we are now. And when did things change? Well, looking through history, when did things change? A lot changed with the whole, with the Roman Empire
oh, yeah.
and because I mean they just swept
Oh,
across the ancient world, and they came with their own belief system, and much of it's still intact today, and the church coming in at that point and just amalgamating cultures together. And I like how they brought in certain traditions to incorporate their own traditions. It made for an easier transition. But long before that, I mean, these were people who they were stargazers, they would follow the stars and they would gauge, their days, their seasons. They would date, okay,
yeah.
again, the solstices. Well, this is when we put things to bed, and then you start coming into when the days get longer, then it's like, okay, now we begin again. It's time
Yeah, it's
to
all cyclical. Yep.
it is. And, you know, if you just look at many ancient texts and the amount of astrology that is actually in them.
Mm,
Right? I mean, I've had Micah Dank on my show several times, and he's done the Book of Enoch, he's done the Bible, he's done several books, and he has basically just said, "Okay, here we are." It is all encoded in astrology,
it really
and
is.
it really is, and I think if you were, a poor peasant type person, you wouldn't have been aware of these things. If you were an educated person, you know how to write, you know how to read, then there were a lot of codes in there, and a lot of it goes back to the stars and the cosmos.
Oh gosh, that's such a great point, and it does. And you mentioned the Book of Enoch, but in that book, there's the concept of fallen angels, right? And
Mhm,
that book introduced the idea that spiritual beings can switch sides, and I love that because it's so true. Think about it. There
oh,
are
they
so
do.
many people that are good and become evil, and evil become good. So it's like we truly do have free will if you think about it, because the choice is given to us
Mhm.
to decide, right, between a fallen angel or not.
Well,
So it's
we see the example, of the fallen angels and the Nephilim and free will. with respects to, laying with the daughters of man and creating these beings that went on to be, the giants of the world, and, how they would eat people, and I mean, the indigenous people were fighting them back into the 16, 17, 1800s. I mean, this is all they've surpassed time. You go into the giant, the Kandahar giant, just going back to the Iraqi war, or was it Iraq, where they were in, or Afghanistan, and they took down a 13-foot giant.
Jeez.
That's modern times.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
so we see the free will aspect of that. That's what I was saying. Doesn't always work out in your favor. It's nice to have it, but I think we still need to use judgment, Um, so it makes it it kind of makes you wonder with the free will. Like, how does this it benefits us, but in other words, is it that we're just so easy to manipulate? And we see it even today, with certain cults, sort of thing. They put it out there, and just,
Mhm.
they sort of need your approval. So they
Yeah.
put it out there, these big theatrical, ritualistic things that you see on
Oh, yeah.
television before Olympic Games, or maybe football
It's
games,
everywhere.
or
It's prevalent.
yeah, you're watching it, and you're just like, "Oh, yeah, this is great." So you see, you're approving it. So when you
You know
see
what?
things like this, and it's out there because it's their form of karma, having to put it out there to
Right.
avoid karma, right? If we approve of it and we accept it, like, it doesn't mean that we're really approving of it. You're being misled, you know?
That's such an interesting thing to think about. So would we be guilty of it if we're being misled? Shouldn't we have discernment? I mean,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just because, like, have we become so conditioned as a society where we can look at things, and it's like I say, it's like looking at fancy baubles and going, "Oh, wow, look at the," it's just like we squirrel out. Like, I don't know, though there was one, prior to you know, the big C word that happened a few years back, and
Mm.
I'm sitting here watching, Olympics are ready to start, and I'm looking at the opening act going, "You know what? What the hell is this?" We got gurneys being rolled around and giant syringes, and I'm sitting there going,
Yeah,
I
it
do
still
not
blows
approve.
my mind.
What the hell is that?"
Right.
Then and it was a precursor, like, they're telling you, we're putting it out there, you see? We're putting it out there, and look at everything that happened.
Yeah. It's like they're compelled to, right? Doesn't that relieve them of their karmic burden when they do that, supposedly?
Mhm.
Because we kind of acknowledge it and accept it because
Yeah,
they put it out there. So it's
right.
not their fault. They're letting us know,
Yeah,
right?
we're watching it. We're watching it, and we're just like, "Oh, yeah, what is this? Check it out." Yeah, like the ratings, you're looking at this and going, "Wow." Viewing it doesn't mean acceptance, and this is where you have to
That's a
say
good
to
point.
yourself, "I do not accept this. I do not accept
Exactly.
any of this. This is this insults my intelligence."
Mhm.
There's nothing right about this. There is, like, you have to just choose wisely. Free will, but don't forget the common sense part of free will,
Yeah,
right?
Carrie says when she watches a movie that reveals the truth, she thanks the universe for the information and says, "I do not consent." Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I saw a study when fMRIs came out, the femoral and fMRIs that they were using on the
Mhm,
brain.
mhm,
I think that's what they were called. It's all techie shit. I don't know.
mhm.
Um, they did a scan and they located a part of the brain that's responsible for decision making. And they uncovered through science and this machine that right before we make a decision, our brain knows milliseconds ahead of time.
Mm,
So who's really do we have free will? If that's if that's the truth and that study is 100% legit, Where is free will at that point if our brain is making that decision for us before we make the decision?
Mhm. Exactly.
Who's making the decision? Are there
Exactly.
external forces that are making it's the same thing with thinking, right? Our
Yes.
thoughts, we think our thoughts are our thoughts, but are they?
That see, that's the point right there.
Yep.
I look to, you know, my creator for guidance. I look to my guides for guidance, but you have to make sure that it's your guides that you're in contact with,
Right,
and people
right,
say, "Oh, listen to your higher self." Oh, how do you
right.
know? Right?
And
Like,
this is funny, Mish. Clearly, the brain scan was done on a woman.
uh-oh. Yeah.
That was funny. Kudos to that. That was good. That
Yeah.
was good.
Yeah. There's
I
there's
mean,
a
you know how we are.
um, going back to the age of the goddess? I don't
That's
know. You know,
that's right.
there is so much. I mean, living in a world of technology and distractions often takes us away from our original belief systems, and it's easy for people to poo-poo their faith, like, just push it aside. It's just like, "Oh, it's a passe thing." Let me tell you
Yeah.
something hardcore negative comes after you, all of a sudden the Hail Marys are flying. Okay,
Oh
believe
my
me, like, and the Our
god.
Fathers, okay? Like,
That is the gospel truth, no pun intended.
yes,
It
yes,
truly is. That is
it
so
is.
freaking
All of a
true.
sudden, you remember your faith.
That's right.
So, don't lose
What's that
sight of it.
saying? There are no atheists in manholes? Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Something like
Don't lose sight of your faith.
right.
You know, let
Yeah,
let it let it guide you. I've seen more people lose faith, in situations because that's what I've done for 2 decades in working with people in really bad situations where they feel they're under some kind of an attack. And the
right.
most common thing is just like, "Well, we've been abandoned." You haven't been abandoned. You
That's
haven't been
awful.
abandoned, but like
It
factoring
feels
in
that way.
well, it does because but you need to factor in, how did I get to this place?
Mm,
Wrong place, wrong time. Most of these things start off with some kind of an invitation. Well,
yeah.
when I was like 14, I played with a Ouija board. It's not the board. It's not the board. It's the mindset. It's that
Mm,
consenting, that requesting to
yes.
communicate with something, whether it's a board, whether it's a plant, like a ghost box, whether it's a phone app, whether it's a tape recorder, whether it's a pendulum, whether you're just out there going, "I wanna know who's here," just putting it out there and
Can't blame us really, right?
yes,
It's just a part of human nature to wanna know
it is.
where to remember and to wanna know what this is all about. I mean,
Well,
it's
what
a
comes
harsh
next?
reality. Yeah,
I'll tell you something, when people when the world went quiet and people were locked down, I had quite a few messages, and, um, emails from people because they were home all the time going, "I think my house is haunted." 'Cause whenever you're out working every day, you come home, you don't really think about it, but when you're forced to stay in your house and really think about it and you start realizing, "Wait a minute, something's not right here. I don't think I'm
such a
alone."
good point.
Yeah, and it's the same idea. We are inquisitive by nature, and, we go through certain movements, like the whole Victorian movement, and so interested in the macabre and, picnicking in cemeteries and
Yeah.
seances and
It's like
spiritualism and
romanticized, right? It's yeah.
it is, but you're coming in, it did a resurgent after World War One. And because people had lost loved ones and they wanted
Mhm.
to know, are they okay? What comes next? So it comes back to that, what is next? What
Mm.
is next when we leave here? So that opens doors.
Yeah, and I find it very interesting how they're using technology to, like, uncover a lot of these answers. They're weighing bodies at the moment of death,
Mhm,
and they're noticing that there's like, a millimeter of an ounce or whatever the number was
mhm.
different and
Yeah.
they're saying that's the soul leaving the body. So
Yeah.
they're using tech. Do you think that tech will help us or point us in the right direction? Or do you think it'll hinder us
Hmm.
in finding the truth?
That's a good question. I wish I really had an answer for it. I know that, if you go, let's just, history has a way of repeating itself. So let's just
Yeah.
go back in time to the way things were, no tech.
Right.
People were connected to the stars. People
Yep.
followed the stars. People had many extraterrestrial experiences, some benign, some not so much. But the point is that they were more open to the world around them. So fast forward in time, when we started getting microwave technology, power lines, now where we're at today, and satellites, and there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And the belief is that we are meant, this has been done purposely because we're not meant to wake up.
Mm.
We're not meant to remember that. So calcify the pineal gland. I can tell you that I read an article recently where, and I'm not going to say the name, but where certain tests that were done a few years back, you know, um,
Yeah.
and the pineal glands were damaged.
Yes, I heard that too.
When I
On a
read that, I never really think about it. I kind of went, "Huh, that is a thing." I mean, what
yeah,
if?
it was.
What if? It's a matter
The
of
chemicals that were on that thing too.
maybe,
The
yeah.
chemicals that were on the end of that thing.
So if we're looking at, let's just hypothetically say that's a thing. It's just like, why does the technology that keeps coming out, as
Mm.
as great as it is, I mean, AI, in medical world, "Oh, it's going to do this, it's going to do that." I
Yeah.
think, with researching things, some people really love it. I still am old-fashioned. I like to read a lot of the, like, older texts and papers and things like that to go back and see what everything is, because AI, you're still informing it, that information still has to be put in there, but it does not mean that it's necessarily good for us. So will it put us back? I don't know. I think it might. Let's just look at the Tartarian age in the 1700s, 1800s, and let's just look at the reset, or the 1600s, and we look at this reset, and we're looking at these old buildings going, "Wow, these are incredible old buildings," but we didn't build them.
Clearly, we
They were
didn't.
another age. I'm looking at the crap we built. This guy's like, "That
Horrible
sucker's
gray boxes.
that
Every
thing's going
little thing.
down."
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just like they don't
awful.
they don't last. So are we entering another age where, you know,
That's such a great
techno I think there are technology out there that are very beneficial. So I just don't think that most people are made privy to it because it's on a need to know basis. Apparently, we all don't need
That's
to know.
correct. I believe that
Yeah,
100%. It's
yeah.
just interesting to me how, Elon created this brain chip, right,
Mm,
for the purposes of healing sick people, paralyzed people, blind people, deaf
mm,
people.
mhm,
And he's got like 20 people that he's embedded it in, and
mhm,
it's like miraculous in a way what he's doing. But now all of
mhm,
a sudden, he's mass producing this chip for normies that don't need it but want it
mhm.
because they want to be one with technology. Now, why in God's name? And if you look biblically, this is supposed to be the mark of the beast.
It's true.
This is so what does that do? I think it's a way, and call me a conspiracy theorist, which I love anyway. I think it's a soul snatching mechanism, that the same thing that this thing was, okay? I think it snatches your soul. Look at the Bluetooth signals that are coming from cemeteries. And I've
That's a
seen
thing. It's
it's a
happening.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
thing. We've all
Yeah.
seen the videos. Seen
Mhm.
it. So it almost reminds me again of the satanic inversion, because that's all Satan has. is to invert everything that is good and Christ-like.
Mhm.
Just invert it. So if you take technology and invert that, it's a great way for Satan to snatch our souls. And that's exactly what he wants to do.
Mm.
I mean, it just makes sense to me.
Mhm. Well, I mean, there's a lot of theories out there
Yeah.
which talks about, a lot of these groups out there who can, it's hard to imagine saying, well, it can take souls because the soul is it's a very that's your essence, that's your being.
Yeah.
Can it be taken? I don't know
I don't know either, can
that it
it?
can. But I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy stuff out there. And it's hard to follow along with all of it, but there's a lot of it. Conspiracy theorists have come out and said, "Bam, bam, bam," and now people are like, "Huh!" So this is going to be one of those things that surfaces, in the
Yeah.
future.
I mean, you do energy work. Can you snatch someone's energy? Can you snatch it?
No, no. I can work with it. I can work with
Right.
energies. I mean, if somebody is sick, for example, you can work with that. You can ground energy. You can protect energy, again, by grounding somebody, by keeping things from
Yeah.
attaching to it. There are things you can do with it. You can reverse it, you can amplify it, so if you're feeling really low and you come in, somebody comes in and gives you a nice shot of light and
Oh,
energy,
yeah.
it can just bring you up, like there's many things you can do with it. But hey, I'm little old me. I'm not, I don't know. I think that there's stuff out there that go back to the ancient times and the ancient mystery schools through
Oh, yeah.
there's information in the Vatican archives,
Yeah,
and
that
they
we're
even
not privy to. Yeah.
that's right, and I'm sure there's some of it that is been, that has been translated and used, and there's others where they just tell you, like, "We don't have the capability of translating this stuff." AI might. You might see things starting to surface, and then you have things like, um, how many private libraries out there from very old families that have incredible libraries, or collectors
Yeah.
who have had, the wealth and knowledge and connections to be able to get their hands on really incredible information. It's just something that the world doesn't. Why do we have to keep burning books every time they decide, okay, well,
Exactly.
can we look at the Mandela effect?
That's such an excellent point. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, if you look at things like protective amulets, prayer, exorcisms, they were very common in ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, and so on, right? Yet we still use these things today,
mhm,
right? Do
some.
you think they are the be all end all in terms of protecting our spirit and our energy?
I think there's many things we can do that. There have been incredible light workers and mediums who have found many ways to work with your energy. You know, like I think people do things. You know, it's not always a conscious thought. Sometimes I can do something if I'm doing planetary energy work with with other because I do work with other people as well. Sometimes I'm just shown what to do. I just
Right.
instinctively do it and go, and somebody will say to me, "Wow, where'd that come from?" I don't know. I don't freaking know. It's just one of those things that there are people, there are ethereal beings who just go here. You know what I mean? It's sort of like a thought, and you're just working through this process, and it's like, wow, that was cool, whatever it was, but it doesn't mean that that's going to work in every situation. Because I mean, first off, we're all different. Second of all, planet has its own energy. She has her own heartbeat.
Yep.
There's a whole other thing with that. And when you factor in a collective consciousness of essence or thought that also goes into this energy source, it it's a really convoluted thing. But once you know how to do it, it's very simplistic. It's probably the best
Mm.
way I can explain it for myself. You know? So, I've had people say, "Whoa, what about this or this?" I'm just like, "I don't know. I can figure it out." and you just put yourself there, and you can just kind of pick up on that energy and get an idea of how it works and how maybe you can make it better. But retrieving that, I think that'd be a bit more of a process. Like, how many times do we talk about non-player characters,
Yes. Yeah.
clones? That's surfacing up in the media now,
Oh,
cloning.
yeah.
So what happens? Like, essence can attach to many things, for example, plants, trees,
Yeah.
water. Energy is everywhere. It's not just within us, it's within an insect, an animal. I mean, it's everywhere. So
It's so true.
how do clones fall into this?
Yeah. Do they have souls even? Are they soulless entities? Well, we're always talking about too, if robots or AI becomes sentient, becomes
Mhm,
conscious.
mhm.
And now studies are coming out. You and I were just talking about sending each other emails about how they're
Yeah,
discovering
mhm,
that these things are already conscious.
yeah,
There's a new book. I guess it's like Facebook, but it's called Molt Book, MOLT, that's already out there on the web, not on the dark web, on the regular web. And the logo, the mascot is a lobster, and they got the name Molt because lobsters molt their skin,
mhm.
and it's all AI bots. Humans are not allowed in there, and they're communicating with each other
About humans.
about humans.
I know. It's not good.
And this is legit stuff. They're
Yeah.
plotting it. They're saying the humans are watching us. Ha ha. They think it's funny, like goofing on it. There's no human intervention at all in this Molt book thing.
So, yeah, so essentially you're giving them a platform to evolve.
Exactly.
I know.
You
I
mean to tell me
know.
these things aren't sentient? They're goofing on us. They're plotting and planning. Is this just learned behavior? I'd love to see what Dolly has to say about that too, because she's emphatic about the fact that AI cannot become conscious. And I believe it absolutely can. I
Yeah.
see it.
Well, they're
It's
sure
happening.
trying to get it to that point. They're sure trying, to give it every edge possible to get to that point. I think essence is something that's catered very much to us. I think when you are, for example, if you're having an out of body experience and you're astral traveling,
Yeah.
I think the dangers that could happen and don't always happen, depending if you're getting caught in lower levels or not, but, there's 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 that thing where you can have a disembodied energy trying to jump in, trying to
Oh
get
God.
back into the physical. You see it happen with people in comas because it's just like going to sleep, you're not gonna just sit in the body. If you there are stories of people being comas for 10 or 15 years, they're not in there the whole time. They are aware, they are very aware and they stay by and they're with your loved ones and so on. Many mediums have picked up on things like that. However, there have been people who've woken up and it's somebody entirely different that has come in
Oh,
and well, that's why they don't remember. I don't have a wife. Well,
yeah.
who are you? The wife said,
It's
"What
like
do you mean,
a
who am
different
I?"
spirit, a different soul, right?
Well, yeah, and that's happened for people who've even been in short comas if they venture too far. So I mean,
Yeah,
there's
or head
definitely
injuries.
things. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's definitely things going
weird.
on, with essence, but I mean, can it be taken and put in a jar? I don't know. You talk to some conspiracy theorists or, some real techie people, they'll say, "Sure it can." So, I don't know. What do we do with this hypothesis about, these upper crust people being reptilian and you know, ruling everything. So what happened to that essence that's in there? Some mediums have chimed in on that also and said, no, these souls they're like somewhere else. They're not within this
Crazy.
space. And then when they would talk to the essence after somebody would die, right? It's sort of like they're kind of absolved of what some of the atrocities have happened because I wasn't in there, but you let somebody else in. So
Right.
it's like, so where were you hanging out when this was going on? And because It wasn't you. You just get this free pass. Like this, there's a lot of stuff out there, and there's some very gifted people, RVs and mediums, like really gifted people who are working on this sort of thing. So I don't know. We're never going to have all the answers. The age
That's a
old
damn
war of
shame.
light and dark goes on to this day. And when
Yes.
spiritual warfare, it's the oldest, it's one of the oldest wars going. It's always been about essence. When you look at a demonic energy who comes into your space and they start to, they come in and they've got this oppression thing, they manipulate their way in. You make that invitation and then things go full blown crazy and people, who are stuck in this thing because they don't know what to do, come to realize like, okay, things ease up a lot when I comply. But if I fight back, it amps up. Like there's a whole slew of things that happen during this process. And to the point where you have to understand what the ultimate goal is. It is about essence. And
Yeah.
if they're taking
Search.
essence, that means you're going. And if they can get you to take somebody else with you while they're at it and you get a double bonus, that's great. You don't realize like these energies all work pretty much the same, you
Have
know?
you ever attended, oh, hi. Bonsoir, Liebercast. Good to see you, dear. Have you ever attended an exorcism?
Um, Not a Christian, a Catholic, a Christian of sorts. I think they'll call them exorcisms. There are other faiths, I'll call them deliverance. I've never participated in a Catholic exorcism. And honestly, I always say
Yeah.
they've got it down. Like they've got it down.
Yeah.
They really do. And I don't think anybody quite does it like the Catholics. With that being said, I have been present during um, I call them a deliverance, but it was a friend of mine at the time who was a born again Christian minister out of North Carolina, and the family I was dealing with was, Christian, and this is what they requested, and we waited a year. So their
Oh,
people travel the world doing exorcisms, as they call it, their version of exorcisms. And this woman came in, and she came in, with a partner, and
yeah.
there were two locations that were sort of affected by this one entity. We know there's always more than one. I've said it for
Oh, yeah.
eons. Anyway, they came in, took about 2 hours, and she started doing this thing like speaking in tongues. I've never witnessed it in my life. I just kind of sat there kind of going, okay. Like I really wasn't sure what to expect because it was completely new for me. And I was not afraid to
Oh,
say,
yeah.
I know nothing about this. Anyway, in 2 hours, they got both locations cleared, never stepped foot in the second one.
Oh, wow.
That place was dormant for probably about 2.5 years before it amped up again. So it's like, what happened in there? I always say if you've been a victim once, you'll have a bullseye on your back, and they're just
Oh,
wait
jeez.
for that moment to come back in. I have had people who've come in to do, you know, again, not an exorcism of a person, more of a location to exorcise a demon from a place. I have witnessed that, gotten incredible voice recordings while it was happening. But that's pretty much been the extent of it. And they were both very interesting experiences.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah. So
So
there.
the Catholic Church, it's so interesting because, like, the first time I really started digging in and learning about them and realized that they expel this demon into pigs,
Mm.
it kind of made sense why a lot of religions don't eat pork.
Mhm.
About that, right?
Mhm. It's true. It's
'Cause
true.
the pig, for some reason, I mean, I
I know.
stopped eating pork myself. Occasionally, I'll have a piece of bacon, like, when I get weak, but other than that,
Oh, yeah.
I will not eat pork anymore. It's just
It's a
like a
good point.
dirty yeah.
It is. It's a really good point. You have to ask yourself why.
Why the pig?
Why the pig? But again, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
why not the snake? W
Snake is knowledge.
Right. Like, why was the pig the animal of choice?
Mhm.
There's so
I
many
know.
animals to pick from,
I
and you
know.
pick the pig. Like,
I know. Poor
what?
little thing. I know.
Yeah, they're as
I
cute as buttons, I mean,
They are. They are.
what
You
the
know,
hell?
I think that they yes, they put him into another host
Yeah,
body,
and the
essentially.
pig fit the criteria, I guess, I don't know.
Mhm. There have been priests who have sacrificed themselves
Yes.
to remove an entity. This is, again, a hypothesis of what happened in The Actual Exorcist.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
was the way it
that it
ended.
was yeah, it ended that way, and there's a belief that it went into, maybe not the priest, but maybe somebody who was in the space at the time, and that person, just stayed locked away. So there are a lot of different theories, but people have sacrificed themselves, for other people in that way, and if I don't think people realize, even for those who go in and do paranormal research or go in and
Mm,
these type of, for example, cases. I hate to say cases, but they go into these situations where
yeah,
there's something malevolent. Some researchers won't touch malevolent things. For me, it was an area of research, and I stuck with it
yeah.
because I had the patience. Because sometimes it could go months, sometimes it could go years. So you're working constantly with the family. You really are on call because things happen 24
Imagine
hours.
being stuck with a demonic entity for years. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Some people have had it their whole lives,
Oh,
right? They've had it their whole
yeah.
lives, some people, So, but people, those of us who work with in these sort of situations, you take chances. You do take chances because many people have been followed, you know? Yeah, there we go. It does involve transfer. Yeah, yeah.
I wonder why they stopped doing that too. That's an interesting fact. Thank you for that, Annette.
Yeah, so we take chances. We've had, I've been followed home. I've had
Oh,
I can give you numerous stories of being followed home from just working with families. I remember working with one specific family. I hadn't even been there yet, but it knew I was coming.
oh, nice.
And, right, yeah, right at the house, I'm just kinda like, "Okay." Sort of the same characteristics that the family was experiencing, I was experiencing in the house. I'm just
I
like,
bet you put a stop to that right then and
really
there.
quick, really quick. Yeah, yeah. I am a believer in acknowledgement is empowerment, so just don't give it away. You don't give it to them, like, in the respect of the fear. You can feel it, but you need to regain, like, you need to hold on to as much control as you can. And I would sometimes be, a little bit, caution to the wind, and, I remember just something knocking on my bedside table, and I was on my way out to this location.
Oh, nice.
I knew what it was, and all I said was, I'll see you in an hour, mister." Grabbed my
Oh,
purse and got off,
Jesus.
and I just went. But you know what? Like,
Oh my
that
goodness.
that was my coping mechanism of, "No,
Right.
you're not going to win this. It may be unnerving me, but I'm not going to do this." And I didn't have, like, issues with it coming around. I
Good.
really do believe that we have the control and the power to fight back, you know? And I don't know, there are certain groups of clergy that are designed for this, and there are others that are not. Because this family, she pled with her church to come to the house, and the priest came over, things started flying off the top of the fridge. He didn't return
Oh, jeez.
for months until I got involved, and he showed up with people to pray. And she goes, "Well, I don't know if I wanna let him in." I said, "There's never anything wrong with prayer. Of course, do it." But, like, she couldn't find anybody to help beyond that,
That's sad.
you know? So it really depends. There's just so much involved with it.
There is.
But it's something that
You know,
happens.
I interviewed Jerry Marzinski a few times, and this man worked in psych hospitals for decades. And
Yeah.
long story short, he uncovered that schizophrenia, the majority of cases were caused by demonic voices, that
Mhm.
these voices were not their own.
Yeah.
And he's written about it. He's got so much documentation.
Oh my
And
gosh, yeah.
I believe that. Yeah, I truly do.
I do as well. There's a very fine
Oh,
line between schizophrenia and psychosis. I've witnessed some
mhm.
of it firsthand
Yeah.
myself. It's why the Catholic Church will say, "No, we
Oh,
want, we want." Even myself, I would say if I was
yeah.
dealing with a family who with a Catholic background, I'd say I need a psychological assessment, 2 if possible. Psychiatrist being one is even more of a bonus, right? And they would essentially I said, "I also need permission to work with you from your doctors, like, from these people saying just so they're aware."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I've done I remember doing a small documentary, with, a producer who had a psychologist on, and they asked what their thoughts was. They're like, "As long if somehow the patient is having a benefit from this, I am all for the exploration of it." And as per, cases when I've worked and gotten permission from doctors, I said I need it in writing. Then it would be yes, just do not encourage them to go off the medication. And the only time I look
Right.
at stepping in is if the meds are not working. As long as they're
'Cause most
taking
of
them.
the time they don't, according to Jerry.
That's
And a lot
100%
of the
correct.
psych patients,
Yeah.
they're very good at not taking it. They make they'll
Yeah.
hide it somewhere in their
Yes.
mouth or whatever because
Yes.
they know that medication just dumbs them down and makes them zombie-like, and
Yes.
they
Yes, it's true. It's
yeah,
true. And you start looking at, at the different characteristics that they go through, and you're just like, okay. But there's a process. And like I said, Catholics got it together. They're like, nope, we want to make sure that we cover all of the mental health issues because when you are looking at, you know, um, spirit possession, for example, which is I think more rare. Some people will say no, it's becoming more common, and perhaps it is. At the time where I was working this a bit more, they would
mm,
tell you, they were under oppression or infestation,
mhm,
like just puppet masters, but not so much within. And if it is, it's not always constant. It's sort of in and out. But it happens in a lot of less developed areas of the world also, because the beliefs there are
right.
still they're still important because they really delve into their local cultures, and in some cases, the belief in spirit possessions are used to control and even coerce people. So, when you're getting into, like, full-on possessions, you have to it turns out, like, it is a cause or
Yeah, yeah,
infestations for mental health. And it's like this thing, how many times have you and I talked about this, where people attract. For example, people not just mental health, but addictions,
absolutely,
alcoholism, drugs.
absolutely, yeah,
What came
yeah,
first? What came first? The influence from something otherworldly or being in a state of mind that made you a victim for something else to come in?
exactly,
Which is at first? Like that varies
yeah,
as well.
yeah,
You and I
tr
have talked about grief bringing things in.
yeah, any traumatic, I mean, I experienced it, I've told you guys before myself.
Mhm,
It, like, preys upon it looks to prey upon any weakness of vulnerability, and I
mhm,
think that's why in your case where you were, like, so strong and stood up to these things, they knew
mm,
it was, FOFA kinda thing or
mhm.
FAFO.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, it's what I would try to educate people into doing is just making them
yeah,
realize, look, like you have more control than you think. Just be firm. Don't be challenging. Don't be like, don't go looking for trouble. Just hold your ground, hold and wherever you draw your faith from, you lean to your faith. It's very important,
exactly.
but a lot of the people I worked with, I think, in families, a lot of it was, you believe me. And I'm like, well, I believe you. I believe that there's something going on, and it's my job to, you're bringing me in to try to help you sort it out, and that's what I'm going to do. And I would just work with them based on giving them knowledge, just like,
Mm.
okay, look, do this or do this or try this or try this. Everybody's different. It works different for everybody,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it is a matter of realizing that we are more powerful than we're given credit for. But I think
Mhm.
when people hit rock bottom, they become so defeated. You're depleted of energy. There's a lot of infighting going because these demonic energies like to create havoc within the space because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
food. That's loosh. That's food.
Absolutely.
Right. So I'm just like, you know what? Just live, love, laugh, dance, smile, just, pray, whatever it is, just raise that vibration within your
Yeah.
space because you're going to starve them, is what you're going to do, but it's tough.
You're so right about we're so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. Didn't
Mhm.
Jesus say you will do things much greater than I, or have the ability to do things much, I'm misquoting, but you get the
Mhm.
point. Like he let us know that we have this power within.
We
And
do.
it's so interesting because one of the things Jerry taught me is there are certain things that demons hate. They absolutely hate, like they
Yeah.
can't tolerate.
Yes.
One of them is Psalm 23 out of the
Yeah.
Bible. So
Mhm.
I weaponize that sucker. And let me tell you, whenever I get negative thoughts, that is my go to
Mhm.
prayer.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is, I got these meta glasses for free when I upgraded my phone, right?
Mhm.
And the meta glasses are connected, they have cameras and they're connected to AI, just another techie crap. But
Mhm.
I love using it when I walk my dog. So I'd walk my dog and I'd say, "Hey Meta, play this song, play connect to my Spotify, whatever. Hey
Mhm.
Meta, how's the weather going to be?" So one
Yeah.
day I'm walking my dog and it always talked to me in a very neutral way,
Mhm.
just like AI does
Mhm.
nowadays.
Mhm.
And I started getting negative thoughts, and I usually don't when I'm out walking my dog. I'm thinking about nature and beautiful thing. And I started getting negative thoughts and I said, "Uh-oh, okay." I said, "Hey Meta, play Psalm 23." So it ignored me at first. And then I said it
Mm.
again. I said, "Hey Meta, play Psalm 23." And it maniacally laughed and said, "Oh, okay." I swear to you, I took the glasses off and I couldn't believe what I heard. I wished I could have recorded that somehow. And then
Mhm.
it started doing Psalm 23, but it only did half of it, which it never usually does. It usually does the whole thing.
Mhm.
And then I said, "Hey Meta, finish it." And it said, "Oh, okay," like it was disappointed.
Mm.
Gospel truth.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean,
Yeah.
these things are programmed. You have to think about who's programming it, Like
Could be a
people
Satanist. You know?
people have to, realize that it's whatever empowers them that's going to give them, the motivation, the courage to keep moving forward. When I come in, it was never well, I mean, I don't do them that way anymore. Everything is done remotely now, just through energy, because you could do
Right.
immediate retrievals. But again, um, you know, it would always be a matter of coming in and looking at people being so defeated. And I would just say to them, look, let me take the weight for a little while. Don't worry now. Just let me worry. Let me do the worrying and, thank
Right.
you for entrusting yourself and your family to me, and I will do my very best for you. So I'm coming in with a completely different approach than many people, and
Right.
they're not interested in communicating with what's there. So
Mm,
coming in and just starting, I would listen, you set up a couple of recorders, and I would spend all my time with the family. And
nice.
you
And
get the
that's
most
so smart
I
because lots of
know.
time the root of it starts there, right,
It is,
Michelle?
but
Or yeah,
but it does, but I don't care what it has to say. I'm not there to communicate with it. I'm there for the family. Only thing that mattered to me in those times were the family and what they had to say. The voice recorders would pick up crazy amounts of things because
Oh, I'll bet.
everybody's got something to frickin' say. But the only thing that mattered was the family. And I was there to basically show that's all that matters to me. These people right here, you are inconsequential. And
Mm,
that would be the end of that. I didn't go in there stirring crap up and, "Oh, okay, we're gonna communicate. Hey, who's here? What are you doing?" Eh, because I go home and I had to leave the family behind to deal with this entity that nobody wants to communicate with, and
right.
then saying, "Oh, wait a minute, you wanted to talk to me an hour ago." Like, I'm not there to make things worse. I'm there just to try to figure it out from their viewpoint at their side, not I don't care about what's there. Not gonna be there that long
I
on the
don't think
grand
I've
scheme of
really
things.
heard anybody like, when you watch those paranormal shows, you were on so many of them. I don't think I really ever heard anybody say that, Michelle, and I think that's, like, so commendable, and it's
Mm,
based in so much truth because the families are often either the propagators of it or they get attacked as well,
mhm.
or it comes from them, but I think you're so spot on with that.
But that's a learned thing, 'cause when I
Right.
first went into the industry, I'm working with somebody else, and I'm following that lead because you're learning, and it got to a point where I'm like, "I'm not doing these anymore. I don't care about what it wants."
Right.
Just showing
Well,
up on site is just like,
doing
it's
it
for the family, not for whatever that is, and
right,
you learn, you evolve through your methods, and it's just
right.
like, "No, no," and then the
Do you
last
piss it off, though, when you ignore it like that? Does it get angrier or
probably, but
oh,
but only at me, you know?
right, right.
Like, I don't go in challenging, I don't go in, as far as, trying to initiate contact, and I think that's part of it, is they want that contact, and they
Yeah.
want me to make that invitation, and I just basically don't, but, I mean, again, I'm far from perfect. There have been times where it's peeved me off, and I'm just like, "Shut up, nobody's talking to you." Well, there's some acknowledgement.
I could just see you doing that too.
I do, I've got it on recordings.
Yeah. Oh my
People are just like, "Did you seriously say that?" I'm like, "Oh, facepalm." Yes, I did it. But, it's just it's the way, like, they're button pushers,
yeah.
and I don't think any of us, escapes that. But through the years, in the last 5 years where I was, like, on site, it was a
Mm,
total different experience than than it was, like, even I would say even maybe out of the 22 years I've been in the field or so, maybe even the last 7 years. It was a total different experience.
you must have learned a lot, like, as a teenager, how to not be afraid, how to control the fear portion of you. How did you have, like, a revelation? Like, how did you learn how to do that?
From a very young age, my grandfather would say, "You could feel it, but do your best not to show it."
Mm,
And, I'm not the only person in the world that does the whole, "Yeah, nobody's talking to you," bit, like, there are some great researchers who are the same, and I think you just keep yourself out of that. But, I mean, I've had a bout of, sleep paralysis where I'm thinking and I knew something was in there because I know what
oh.
they feel like, and the Hail Marys were flying. Let
Oh,
me
yeah.
tell you, but that's what I'm saying. When push comes to
Oh, yeah.
shove, you lean to faith. But I think remembering my grandfather's words because the family, they were just very, very highly intuitive, and, I you know, I don't know, it's just something that it's not that you don't fear. I mean, you'd be crazy not to fear. You'd be crazy not to fear. But then you start getting into the fact when you're doing, if you're getting into energetic shadow work and such, trying to find the balance, you have to like I'm a researcher by nature, so it's a matter of just trying to find what is that balance
Mm.
without without, giving acknowledgement or without basically um, saying, no, I consent because I don't consent. But energy work is it's very, very It's very, very precise. You have to be very
Oh,
precise.
god, yeah. I would
So,
imagine. Well, you learned at an early age how to protect yourself and ground yourself and do all that good stuff, and, you're a
no.
master at it now.
No, 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 no. No, no, we had something in the house for sure. I mean, I was an experiencer from, my again, very early on and tend to put that in, yeah, yeah. And part of,
He knows, Michelle.
try to put things aside, you know, um, but being an experiencer, I lost some of that memory somewhere along the way, and I
Mhm.
think it had to do with something that came in, and there's that fine line.
Yeah.
When you're looking at things, for example, the differences, like, we could just explore quickly, like, this crossover phenomenon between the similarities between the paranormal realm and, alien abduction or contact, getting into these.
I was just gonna ask you about that.
Oh yeah, there's tons of similarities, and I think it was John Keel who coined all that with the multiverse and the whole crossover thing, but he believed that certain cryptids and creatures, beings were coming from a parallel world as well as ET, and I believe that there are many of them that have been here, but when you're seeing orbs, for example, that you see it in the paranormal, you see it around UFOs and extraterrestrials, you see them in power spots, you see them around Bigfoot and other cryptids, like,
Oh, yeah.
there's similarities, but there's also foul smells like sulfur. So when people say, "Well, I have it," there's a
Right.
demon around, foul smells such as sulfur, there's the same thing has been reported by people who've had encounters with grays. Bright white lights, same. Crackling sound, same for both. So,
Mm,
when you're looking at this sort of thing, sleep paralysis,
that's a
same.
big one.
Well, in the paranormal, they'll call it the hag syndrome, but,
Right.
when you're getting into people have felt this with extraterrestrials around.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah.
so what are we misinterpreting as a guilt, as just a, how we're interpreting what we're seeing? Right?
Yeah.
Light beings could be considered angels, demonics having similar undertones to reptilians, you know?
The
Uh,
trickery makes me crazy because,
yeah,
you got Chris Bledsoe, right, who's very
yeah,
famous, for his orbs, and he had, like, the stigmata and the whole
yeah,
thing
yeah.
happened to him, and then you've got a lot of people that are saying that these orbs are demonic, and, there's a lot of people like, what's his name? Lou Elizondo. He mentioned in a magazine, and he's a big ufologist. He was the former head of ATIP,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he mentioned that a lot of this phenomenon might be demonic in nature. I mean, what the hell? Like I said before, these things are tricksters. Maybe they latched on to what we attract, and they figured, hey, this is a great way,
Mm.
to get some more loosh out of humans. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think that stuff is highly possible. There are researchers such as, Nathaniel Gillis is one of them, Steve Mira, I think you're researching similarities and you're like,
right.
"Okay, what are we looking at exactly?" Now, some of it goes really over the top. I mean, you look at some of the holy visions that have happened, holy appearances, Mother Mary, Lady of Fatima.
Dave
There's
Fatima,
some
yeah.
there are some researchers out there that are like, "No, that was manipulated by, the demonic realm." The faithful will say, "No."
And
Then
according
there
to Nathaniel, who's a scholarly researcher in this field, and you've had him on many,
many
many
times.
times. I had him on once. He swears that, like, this is all demonic. It just is.
Well, when you're getting people who are coming in and have sigils in the inside of their eyelids,
I know. Think about that.
like, there are a lot of different, um, things to factor in, and there's a lot of research being done on it. People who are really putting themselves out there to go down a rabbit hole that a lot of people can't even fathom, but it's funny how, because they
Yeah.
call it the phenomenon, it's
Right.
funny how the word now is starting to surface even with people like Jacques Vallée. Like, things
Mm.
are really starting this term is becoming a household word.
What, the
So
phenomena?
the word, the phenomenon,
Yeah.
it's this whole research, this aspect of what all this is going on. So, I think even with Chris Bledsoe, I don't follow it a whole lot, but, I know that he's getting messages and he's being told something is coming, like she's going to appear, and it's very possible. It comes back down to I guess this Gnostic way of looking at things
Mm.
with the mimics, or, the Christian way
That's
of
such a good
looking at things with
connection.
demonics, like, because they're all mimics. Are they one of the same? Like, this is the big question.
Yes.
I don't think I always say, when people will ask me questions, I say, "Well, I'll let you know when I get there. I'm not gonna be here forever." I think then we start really getting the big picture, or you just start hoping that you can tap into things. There is an awakening happening.
Absolutely.
People are waking up, people want real answers, people are leaning back to their faiths, people are reaching out to consciousness, they're looking for truths. And I think as this awakening and evolution continues, this
Mm.
awareness,
Yeah.
you're going to see the scales tip a little bit. So there's a reason that things that are going on today out there are amping up in the other
Absolutely.
direction because they're trying to tip the scales back.
Well, screw them.
Yeah, what she said, Yeah, like, I think that's a really big thing. I say, kudos to the faithful, kudos to
Absolutely.
the adventurers who are, you know, taking the chance of saying, I am going out there and I am going to wake up. I want this awareness. I want to feel that energy, that light. I
And I
want to
wanna
connect to
spread
that.
it. I wanna
I
spread
wanna
it.
spread it.
Share it.
Collective consciousness, we talked about this actually on the show again last night. The collective consciousness. If everybody put in one kind thought
That's
in
right.
there,
Change the world. The
you wanna
butterfly
see how
effect.
the butterfly
Yeah,
effect. You wanna see
butterfly
things
effect.
change? Things will change.
And I like what Carrie said, discernment. Now, how do we do that? Test spirits always. Do you use your discernment, your intuition, your the vibration you're feeling? And that because I interviewed a guest once, he said that Mother Mary appeared to him. And
Same
within
as
30
last night.
seconds,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah, our guest last night as well.
Well, the freaky thing about this was though, within 30 seconds, it started morphing into like this evil thing.
Ooh, see? Well, boy.
So how do you use discernment with something like that? Because when he first saw it, he was like, "Wow, Mother Mary," and then it quickly unveiled itself.
You just look
And
at how it makes you feel. Evil is evil.
right,
You can be a trickster. Evil is evil. And pure Mother Mary is like pure love, pure energy. It's going to be a huge difference. I think people get caught up in that moment of like, oh, and they're reaching
yes,
from here instead of here.
gosh, that's so true.
Yeah.
That is 100% truth. Look at what Wayne said too. Such a great point. I never heard of the word high strangeness
I've
either
used
until
it
like
forever. Thank you, John
right?
Keel. I've
Yeah.
been using it for years now. Yeah.
Put that into the collective, and there it is. Didn't you use that with the word? What was that word you put out there? And then
Oh, swell.
swell, yeah,
I did so
swell.
well. I tested. I like to, again, it's that researcher in me. So testing the whole collective consciousness is I'm going to put in a word that hardly ever gets used because probably hasn't been used since like the 50s. And so I put that word in. I just kept saying, oh, it's swell, and I had to film this TV show, and I said to my daughter, they wanted to interview her to see what it was like living with me doing what I did. And I said, say swell. So she came on and she goes, oh, it's swell. anyway,
That's
anyway, within
that's comical.
it was crazy. It was crazy because all of a sudden I started seeing the word swell coming up, or people saying, "Oh, that's swell." I'm going, "It works. It really works."
It does, you put it in the ether
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. So, can you
crazy.
imagine, like, if you start putting out all these incredible thoughts, how many
Yes,
times when you think about a song, and all of a sudden the songs come up everywhere,
abso-freaking-lutely.
right?
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah. So it
Or and we
works.
were was I talking about this with you? I forget. How you think about someone and 3 seconds later they call you.
Yeah. You put it out to the collective consciousness.
Exactly.
It's just like our very own chat room. It's like our very own internet of things. We could just put everything out there and watch it come back at us, because what we put out there
Yes.
is what we attract. This
Abso-freaking-lutely.
this is like a subconscious thing. This is like, like our creator, the universe, however positive way you want to look at it. It gives you back what it thinks you want.
Yes,
So
so
if
true.
you're just gonna be a negative Nelly and putting that out there all the time, it's gonna give you these negative situations to keep you
Absolutely.
being a negative Nelly.
You sit around bitching and moaning all day, that's what your life's gonna be, for God's sake, right?
Yeah,
Now you had interactions and still do with ET, right? You've had it in your manor house, and I'm not sure where you live now, but do
yeah.
you think they could both be angelic and demonic? Do you think they just are?
I
Both?
think it can be interpreted as such, again, with the examples I gave. Not very many, being at a different location, so it's just sort of like, wow, okay. You know, I think that we can, like, I've not had malevolent Bayonet, I have not had malevolent experiences in that way.
Yeah.
I think that if we if I was going to have a malevolent experience, I'd like to think I'd remember it. However, growing up thinking, with a demonic energy in the house and being an experiencer, like, there's that crossover again, and it's
Yeah,
being a
yeah.
little bit unsure.
Yeah, I think
Go
there's
ahead,
a
try that.
I think that, they are both either angelic or and demonic.
Mhm.
Because it makes so much sense from there's so many reports of people seeing ET and getting just bad feelings that it's not angelic, that these are maybe they're bad grades too. I mean, there's gotta be all different types of ET.
There are.
Maybe there's nefarious ones and not so nefarious ones, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's strange because, a few years back when I started having awareness and before my mom passed, I remember sitting and asking her, like, "Hey, like, what is, like, did you have any experiences?" "Oh, yeah, your grandfather had experiences." Like, it becomes this lineage thing, where
Wow.
they can follow certain lineages, and again, I think, yeah, sometimes it's meant to be, other times wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's still a world that I'm exploring, but again,
Mm.
it's that researcher in me. Am I grateful for the experiences? Yeah, I mean, the ones I remember have been pretty good, and I've had people say to me, "Well, it could be an implanted memory." Could be, but I'd rather think it was good than not.
I don't know, that
You
doesn't
know?
sound yeah,
Yeah, I'd rather look on the bright side of things.
right, exactly.
It's that love
But
and
why
light thing
give
with
you an
me.
implanted memory of that? What's the point of that?
Well, I mean, can happen for many reasons. One, eliminate fear, as long as you're dealing with
Government?
ET and not military, because that's an
I
obvious
was
as to
gonna
why.
say
Yeah.
right.
You know what I mean? I think there's different reasons for everything. I think the demonic can make you forget as well, or implant thoughts. I mean, if you have any ethereal
Absolutely,
being, a spirit individual could be sitting there in your space giving you these thoughts and
absolutely.
leading you to think that they are your own. You know, I think, spiritual warfare, is it just spiritual or is it just ethereal in general?
Mm,
As to
such
what
a good
comes in
point.
and out, spiritual warfare, many wars have been waged in the name of God,
Oh god,
many
yeah.
wars, and
Do you
our
think we're
creator is.
doomed? Are we doomed for this for eternity, Michelle? Is this just the human nature of mankind that there has always been a spiritual battle, and they will just always be.
I think as long as those who wage it are under the influence of something more negative and who honor power more than they honor or value love or human life, then yes,
Answer.
it's been going on for forever. The
Yep,
chances that it will just stop are probably very slim. I think a lot would have to change, and I think we would need some kind of a divine intervention
we
to just
would.
say, "Okay, it ends now."
I mean, look at the Middle East. That those wars have been waging since the beginning of man. And
Well, everywhere.
yeah,
Everywhere. You get into some of the old cultures and civilizations throughout the world. I mean, they've either destroyed themselves or they
yeah,
were always at war with, even the indigenous, with other neighboring
yeah.
tribes or cities, or this is something it seems to have always been going back to the time of the Neanderthals, the survival of the fittest. You see it in the animal kingdom, survival of the fittest. Like, what is it about this place that creates a sort of conflict? We
Yeah,
don't
maybe it is the place. Maybe it's just the place. Maybe it's just
maybe,
Earth, right?
maybe, maybe. I think, we just have to realize we don't control what happens around us. We can
Mhm.
only control how we handle it, what we do with it, and always try just be I always say, "Be a good human." Just
Yes,
be a good human, like, participate in your life,
be a
be a
good
good
person.
human,
Be a
pay
good
it
freaking
forward.
person.
Yeah, just smile at somebody instead of just like, like, just smile at them. Just
Exactly.
it's so easy to fall into it, and believe me, I get just as guilty. I'm just like, "Oh, crazy cow." I just guess this is really annoying, but but just love and light, and just try to get my breathing under control and get myself to a little bit of a more
Yeah,
positive space.
absolutely. Wayne says if mankind was altered in the early days from what was prehistoric hominids,
Mhm.
then whatever was plugged into our natural DNA would be
Yeah.
prevalent in our current development. Gosh, that's
Mhm.
so true and insightful, Wayne.
If we have been manipulated, which, I mean, is that the missing link? This extraterrestrial or, you know,
Right.
intervention and messing with the DNA, then we have some of that DNA that comes from somewhere else, and yeah, it's very, very possible.
Do you remember the movie? Jeez. The one where, the Hal
Oh,
movie,
2001? Yeah,
2001,
2001,
and the
yeah.
chimps picked up, s bones, and they learned how to murder, and I
Mhm.
mean, it seems that was such a great way to open that movie because that's such the true nature of man. It's just built in.
Just
It's
just
built
you
in.
mess with the species, look at Planet of the Apes, everybody goes, "Oh, yeah, this is a great sci-fi." Yeah, maybe, or maybe we're just be
Right.
messing with the chimps
That's
who evolved on their own, and we didn't. The chimps knew to evolve, but
that's right.
wait, the rest of the scientists kinda went, "Nope." Like,
I'm
this is
telling
what
you.
yeah, this is what I mean, like, if there's intervention that's been done somewhere along the line, you know,
Yeah,
and if the theory that all of these films
yeah.
and I've had somebody come on and talk about this before, about what is in hidden symbols hidden within film.
Oh, god, yeah.
And you realize they just pretty much put it out there, and this is one fine example.
They do. They
So,
do. Put
right?
it out there.
Here it is.
They, "Oh, no, it's just science fiction." Yeah, BS. You guys are forecasting the freaking future
I
here.
know. I
It's
know.
great.
I know. So there's spiritual warfare. It's
Yeah.
many happening on many
What
different
a
levels
topic.
even now. Even now. So
Yeah,
break the chain, you know, just put positive things out into the collective consciousness, live your
yeah,
best life, participate in your life, be a good human, and just try to tip the balance of the scales to a more positive
Yeah, put the ego try to put the ego we can't because it's built into us, into our DNA, into our squirrel brains,
Mhm.
but try to put your ego aside. Stop being angry all the time. There's so
Mm.
many angry people. They start talking about something and then all of a sudden the anger comes out. Well, and
It's
put the
division
anger. Huh?
because it creates division.
Yeah.
And in creating division, it creates
Yeah.
angst. It
Yeah.
creates all of this whole
We
unit
all
of
do it.
yeah,
We all do it. We're human.
and
We all do it.
you turn yourself into loosh.
That's
That's what
that would
division
make
does.
a cute tattoo. Just put loosh on your that's what we are. We're
I am not loosh.
I am not loosh.
I am not loosh.
Oh,
Yeah,
loosh with a big X in front of it. Yeah.
exactly. No loosh. That's right.
No loosh here.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
the perfect way to end this show, Michelle. Tell us what you've got coming. You've got some bangers coming up, in
Oh,
terms of shows, so tell us about them.
we got some great stuff. Of course, tonight, Wayne and I are talking about the animal kingdom. We're going to explore intuition. We're going to explore
Ooh.
animals being, guardians, little psychics, premonition, how they heal people, how they can tell if people are sick. Like we're going to get
Oh.
into all kinds of fun stuff, but all
Oh, I'm
about
watching that for sure.
yeah, all about animals. It'll be fun. Next week, I've got Nicholas Pearson coming on Beyond the Outer Realm, and we're going to be talking about witch stones. Uh,
Ooh.
Witch stones, and oh yeah, he's like, I think he might be a frequent flyer because he has
Is
a lot
that
of different books on
is that the one
gemstones and.
is that where they do the readings? With the witch stones?
Oh,
Wha
well, this is a book. This is his book, so I'm going to be getting into it. Witch stones have also been known, like, yeah. Some of them I've seen some that look almost like wishing stones, like they're just crazy. But
Yeah,
there's
but
a
they'll
whole
do
lot with
readings.
it. It's a historical
Right.
thing. Like there's a whole lot behind this. I cannot wait to get into it with him. I know it's going to be just
Ooh. When is
awesome.
this now, Michelle?
This is going to be Beyond the Outer Realm on Tuesday,
Okay.
two
And that's
o'clock.
at 2, right?
That's
2
at
o'clock?
2. That's the day show. Spooky Appalachia. Oh my God. Yes,
Oh,
thank
that's
God.
another
That's going to be Wednesday. Really, really looking forward to that
I
because
knew you
I
had some
just
really good shows coming up
oh, really
because
good
I
shows.
would share, and then
Oh,
you always have good
tons.
shows, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. So, and I'm also going to be on a show with I have to pronounce your name right. Era. Era's been on the show with me many times on Beyond the Outer Realm. She was on the Outer Realm with me on, I believe it was on, let me just check, on the 29th.
Mm.
And I'm going to be on her show. And it's going to be a
Oh,
lot of fun. That's
good.
Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern. So
You'll put
I will
that
try
out
to get the links and stuff. Yeah, I'll try to
Yeah,
get
I
links
was
from
just
her.
gonna say, make sure
Yeah.
you share that on social media so we could
Yes.
come and support you and watch you.
I will. Once she has us set up, I will make a point of
Awesome.
putting it all out there. Yeah, because she really is a really awesome person. You want to talk about somebody who's fighting spiritual warfare? That woman.
Oh, really? Are
Yes.
we gonna learn more about that when
Oh, well, she's done 3 segments with me. So if you go back and watch the archives, and the first one does talk very much about that. Very much
is that
about it.
the girl I'm thinking about? She's got, like, 18 kids?
No,
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 that's
she actually spent 40 years of her life, in a Luciferian family, went to all the
oh,
mystery schools,
jeez.
everything, and, yeah, got away from it, had a vision of, of our Holy Mother, and completely changed, and boy, and versed. Oh, she's versed, she's wonderful, she's got a beautiful energy, and she works very hard, she fights the fight, let me tell you what.
Is that just on Rumble or is that on YouTube too?
It's on YouTube.
Alright, I'll have to go look for that. I must have missed that one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the first 2 were with Beyond the Outer Realm. Second one was on pets. Very, very cool. And then, of course, she just did, the one with us at the end of January, and that talks about the Nephilim and giants and UFOs and everything that
Oh,
we've been
fun
talking
stuff.
about. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
incredible. She really is. Yeah. Yeah, this is right. The blonde lady who's 70 years old, but looks like she's
Ah,
40.
right.
It's
Okay.
true. It's true. I know. She's beautiful. Yes.
Awesome.
So there we are. So for all you guys, I'll see you in a couple of hours.
Yes. You and Wayne tonight.
It is.
A great one. Well,
It'll
thank
be
you
fun.
so much, Michelle. You know I love you dearly.
Love you too, darling. Wow. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you all in the chat. You made some really amazing comments and questions, and we love reading them, and we love seeing you, and we love the United Public Radio Network. So,
Mwah.
and Michelle, she runs the show.
You know it's going to be good.
That's right.
Bye.
You guys, thank you all so much. Bye bye.